My name is Sal Valentinetti, and this is my third time on the Growing Up Italian podcast.
Grown Up Italian.
Growing Up Italian. Growing Up Italian podcast.
Growing Up Italian.
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 Growing Up Italian podcast.
Growing Up Italian.
Growing Up Italian.
Growing Up Italian podcast.
Growing Up Italian. Woo!
I'm in there for 7 or 8 hours with a breaker bar and that roofing tool that takes all the tiles up. And every 2 inches, I'm hitting a fucking nail.
You know why? The people that put this didn't think about when you got to take this out, what it's going to be.
This guy Ed, built it to last a fucking nuclear blast.
That's a good thing then, no?
I mean, good for him.
Good for him. Not for the next guy.
He put this bullshit molding on the ceiling. Looks like fucking Charlie in a Chocolate Factory. It's got like waves in it.
Pig, we're rolling, right?
We are rolling.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And it's in 3 layers. So he's got the crown molding that he carved by hand.
Okay.
That's another thing. The daughter sold us the house. So the daughter's explained to us everything that this guy did by hand. And I'm standing there.
I like stories like that, though.
I love it. And my father's in there like, that's getting ripped out. Yeah. That's going in the garbage, right? And I'm saying, no. Ed made that by hand. There's love in there.
All right. You guys, congratulations. You are both changing your living situations.
Yeah.
I think that's where this conversation is.
If anybody's like, what the hell's going on?
So since you guys are talking about this,
yeah,
I feel like I have to tell you guys this story. So when I bought my house in Howard Beach, it was a similar situation where the real estate agent was also the owner of the house. So she was telling me stories about her mother would always like cook roast beef 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Now, the first night I slept there, I'm upstairs, and I hear a chair like move.
Oh no.
From upstairs.
Alone. You were alone.
The next day I like tell my mom, she's heading to a group chat with all the aunts. We get holy water, bless the house. And they were Jewish, but what's that thing by the
Mezuzah.
door? So I have that by the door still to this day because
It's
I'm
good
like,
to have.
Yeah.
listen, this person lived in here. Like,
Respect,
we
yeah.
respect it. You
They're
know?
just desert Italians.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is that okay to say?
Sure it is.
I don't know. Is it?
My wife and I lived in Miami for a year. We're half Jewish.
Is that like a real thing?
No, it's the thing. So
Do you think there's more Jewish in Miami than New York? I thought New York is like the melting pot of the world.
New York is definitely, I was going to say the Mecca, but then that's wrong. That would be wrong.
Yeah.
New York is definitely like the capital. I think it's just the most of everyone.
Yeah.
But Miami, especially the Sephardic Jews, the Israelis, which they are the desert Italians. I was down there for a month, so I got my oil changed because we drove down and then I got my oil changed to drive back, right?
Wait, you go there just for the oil change?
No, wrong.
Well, that's what you made it seem like.
I mean, Sal, but in our defense, that's something you would do.
That is something I would do.
You drive like to Florida 5 times a year.
Right, I do. So I work in Florida for 6-7 weeks at a time during the winter. So we drive down, right, and then before I make the trip back, I got my oil changed. I got a guy in Miami I go to. It's a friend's father has a shop, so I go there. I get back to my friend Josh Starr, who I stay with. I went back to his house.
I always see you post them.
His wife is Israeli, Bianca, and her father Yossi is at the house. He's working on stuff. Because they're just like Italians. Like the father's like, don't hire somebody, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Right? And then just like an Italian, I walk into the house. He goes, Sal, where you been? I said, I went and got my oil change. He goes, why didn't you tell me? I have someone who does it have twice.
But don't you? You
I'm
know
like,
how to
I didn't
change
tell
your
you how
own
much I
oil
spent.
too. You know how to change
But
your oil?
I'm on vacation. I'm not gonna do it.
Isn't that incredible though? He knows how to change oil.
Well, he owns a caddy. I mean, like, I feel like that's mandatory.
It'd be incredible if I knew how to paint the Sistine Chapel. I don't know,
No, to change oils. Me and Rock, can you change your oil? Your car?
Hell no.
Well, you guys got those, fancy,
fancy.
new Italian cars with all the plastic underneath and all that.
Yeah, I see the guys like change like 8 screws under there.
Me, I put it up on a tire jack. You know, turn the bolt, let it drain. 10 minutes later, put it down, put the bolt back in, top it off, do the filter. I'm done.
How much you charge?
Cause
You can't afford me.
can't afford it.
That's
So-
what Charlie the Wolf would say.
During the pandemic, I had a lot of free time, so I started doing things like that more often. Like, you know, if I really don't have, like, if I'm on vacation in Florida, I'm gonna have someone change my oil. If I'm in between, you know, trips, I'm not gonna do my brakes. I'm gonna let the shop do it. You know, especially if I'm gonna drive the car. You know, if it's my truck and it's my Beta that I take around locally, I throw, you know, my mulch in there or whatever. It's a Long Island thing, mulch. We love the mulch. We put it everywhere.
2 Chainz said it in a
Right.
song one time. That's how I figured out what it was.
Yeah.
Real story.
I'll do the brakes on that, but during the pandemic, I was like, I'll do it all, you know? And my neighbors would come by and go, wow, how the mighty have fallen. Look at you. 1 minute we're seeing you on AGT, the next minute you're under a car covered in brake dust, you know?
They humbled you. Real
Life
quick.
got real quick.
You know what it is? I think this is true because you're moving into a co-op, right?
Yeah.
And you're in the middle of them telling you that you can't do nothing yourself in this co-op. You got to hire out. You got to
Yeah,
get an
can you
insured
imagine?
guy. I drove myself nuts this month trying to do everything myself because I think especially like for us who come from generations of immigrants, you know, who come from, you know, people who prided themselves on picking themselves up by the bootstraps and getting it done themselves, you know, and being the first of their family to go and do something. That's a big deal to me. That's like ingrained in me.
It's a big deal for him to move out of the neighborhood too.
Yeah.
Think about, we're like 7 aunts and uncles, 31st cousins. It's only me and him that moved out of the neighborhood.
But could you imagine, like,
Oh,
both
and our
of
cousin
you,
Mike
like,
too. But
the
yeah.
both of you without traffic live 15, 20 minutes away from
Would-
here.
I mean, no.
Well,
now-
you're a little, you know,
Now it's 30 no matter what because of the
Yeah.
speed cameras. But
25,
true.
25.
still.
Yeah.
It's not like you're moving across the country. And yet it's a big step.
but it's a peace of mind.
Definitely.
Like when you could just go in your backyard. You know, we grew up in apartments.
yeah.
So for us having a backyard,
I watched the podcast that you just did with Vinny. And just the clips and talking about
railroad
the
apartment?
the railroad apartments.
yeah.
You know, it's got to be a big deal once you have, you know, your piece of the pie.
Yeah.
I want to get all this done.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So I really pride myself on doing it myself.
I mean, a big chunk of my life, I had to walk through my parents' bedroom. Like, and I always pray to God I didn't see anything. Because it would literally ruin my life. Like, every time you had to take a tinkle at
How do
3
you-
o'clock in the morning, you'd be like,
Yeah.
How do you think
I'm
they,
coming!
How do you think they felt?
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's true. Very true.
But, you know, that's really the Italian-American story. Like, if you
Yeah.
look, especially in this neighborhood, every old apartment was a railroad. So
Yeah.
that's what we all had to do, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's how my mom grew up, you know. So even for my parents, you know, coming from there to be able to see their kids settle down and everything. Like my father has been at my house every day. My father's 64 years old. You know, he had a physical job for 32 years. You know, he's beat up. He's got knee problems and everything, but he's been there every day.
He loves it too, probably, like seeing what you're doing.
Not only does he love it, he's like, this is my legacy, is making sure my kids are all right. You know, family,
Amen,
family
brother.
is the root of everything. You know, you say it's a big deal leaving the neighborhood, not just for your peace of mind, but it's a big deal because your whole family is here. This
Also-
is the nucleus, you know?
Also because it's kind of like a little city now here. It's a little,
Yeah.
it's overwhelming.
That's the same. I know people are going to drag me because Long Island is like, you know, potato farms and all this. But that's how I feel about Nassau County now. You know, it's getting very congested. It's getting very crowded. And it's not what I grew up on. This used to be a little neighborhood on the heels of a big city. Now it's become part of that big city. So you start to think of things like, well,
Becoming its own city too. Like
right,
a lot
you
of
got
stuff going on.
kids. You're doing everything to think about your kids. You got a son on the way. He's your number one priority now. You know, you want to make sure that
absolutely, yeah.
he's taken care of. You were talking about before you live in a railroad apartment, and you're like, I want more space for him.
Yeah.
You know?
For the family.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Quality of life.
Quality of life.
But
It's
see,
a big
one
deal.
thing I want to mention to you both is we always talk about like Italian neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
All this neighborhood's not Italian anymore, and like in a sense, we are also kind of part of that problem.
Yeah.
Right. But what are you gonna do? Change your quality of life to keep a neighborhood Italian, or are you gonna put your family first?
Man, it becomes, do you want to live in this like apartment for, let's say, whatever the rent is, or do you want to pay a mortgage?
Yeah.
yeah.
It becomes that simple.
Yeah, my parents sat me down and they said, listen, you know, you're not going to be young forever. You're going to look back one day and say, man, I've been renting for however many years and now I'm like behind the curve. And they were like, we're going to help you every step of the way, but this is what you should do. And I don't regret it for a second. You know?
So to hear that from your parents, though, that's like a big boost, you know, like knowing that they have
100%.
your back no matter what.
Listen,
Yeah,
you guys
facts.
know that the reason why we're so tight is because it's unspoken. That your family is always going to have your back. You know, the reason why I've been able to get so much done, even being on the road every weekend and traveling, doing whatever, is because I've been relying on my family and friends. You know, one of my childhood best friends came over the night before I left for Canada last week, and he just came over to see the house and say hello and give his blessing, whatever. And sure enough, 15 minutes later, he's breaking linoleum floors up with me. You know, it's just that's such a big deal. That's one of the reasons why I didn't stay in Florida. We lived in Florida for a while, and my wife loves Florida. I mean, she would go back in a heartbeat. But to know that if I'm on the road and she's home and she needs something, the first phone call I make is going to be someone who could be there. But then if that guy doesn't answer,
You got another 2 or 3.
another 2 or 3, I got another 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Sal definitely got a guy
I got a guy.
for every day.
Come on. I got a guy.
He used to be a pizza guy. So-
Yeah. I started, my first job, my first real job was busboying at the pizzeria. And then I graduated to waiter. The problem was I just kept getting bigger because I'm working at this pizzeria. I'm like, hey, if it's free, it's for me,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
6 slices left, no problem.
sure, I'll take that home. It won't make it home, but I'll take it home.
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I believe Sabino was telling us a story about someone's Mima's ghost making him a roast beef sandwich.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes.
right.
Let's circle back on that one.
I think of the same thing though. So you call your mother the aunts and everything, and they're coming over and they're throwing holy water. Does
Does that stop?
Yeah, does it stop or
Yeah, it
does it
stopped.
continue?
After that day, it stopped.
Yeah. Didn't you call him Joanna the Ghost, right? It was.
Yeah,
Juan.
I called him. I made up some.
I
name.
remember you saying this story not like a very long time ago. Juan, the good
No,
old
but bro,
Juan.
literally, like the chairs at my dining table. That's what moved, bro.
So-
and I'm talking like,
That's why, I want to save all the stuff that Ed built.
yeah.
You know,
Or at least put it in a box in the attic, or put it somewhere. Or make it Ed in the closet. Put all Ed stuff collaged. Play it safe.
He made the moldings.
Would you guys move into somewhere where someone passed away?
So,
You answer first.
I mean, yeah. You can't.
Knowingly or
Come on. How are you going to guarantee
No,
that
I know.
people have been living there for 70 years? Ed's daughter told me that he passed from a heart attack.
Okay.
Right?
So odds are,
Odds are pretty good
Yeah.
that happened at home.
yeah, you're not gonna ask that, but yeah.
But that doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. Ed's touch is all over this house. The dormer on the back, this guy built himself in the early 60s, right? The moldings he hand carved. And I'm going to keep the mold. I'm going to take the swirly part off because we don't like that. But I'm going to put the rest of it back up. And every time I look at that molding, every time I show someone, they go, wow, we love the dental molding in the living room. I say, Ed did that.
Ed did that. You believe in ghosts or no?
You know where I can get a fresh quality pizza with the freshest ingredients? I'm talking like homemade dough, pecorino romano grated in-house.
Of course.
Where?
Cuz Auntie's coal-fired pizza and wings. that cold fire is at the heart of who they are.
Oh, they're that spot that's located all in the Northeast, and they have a bunch in Florida, right?
Yep.
Man, I love when you have a good recommendation for once.
I mean, if you believe in heaven, if you believe there's an afterlife, you believe in ghosts. You know, you believe that in spirits at least.
And there's good ones and bad ones.
Listen, you're asking me.
Well, you're from Long Island. They have a haunted house every block.
Right. Well, yeah, we're not far from the Amityville.
We have railroad
horror house.
apartments. We don't have.
There's no room for the ghosts.
Yes, exactly. The ghosts don't pay enough rent. Like Amityville, I've never
great.
been there, but of course I've heard of the movies and stuff.
Right. So there was, for those who don't know about the Amityville horror, there was a house. You talk about someone died in a house. There was a beautiful house down on the water in Amityville, South Shore town, very, very bucolic South Shore neighborhood, it's Amityville Harbor. And there was a guy who was mentally ill, killed his whole family, right, in the house. So they made a movie about a haunting that happens because of this guy, right? So now this house has become, like Long Island has kind of become synonymous with the hauntings. So
Kings
we have
Park too, right?
the Kings Park,
That's a big one.
the Pilgrim State Mental Asylum. You know, it's this big abandoned mental hospital. So people will go there.
I would shit my pants to go to something like that. Like growing up, I've had times where like classmates wanted to egg like people on Halloween, and I found a way to skip it. Like they would say, like when you're 16, 17, you first have a car, let's drive to this haunted house and break in. I'm like, what are you, nuts?
Yeah.
Who wants to do that? Like
You know what's going to happen.
I've
Let's
seen
go see
movies.
if it's haunted. You just said we're going to break into a haunted house.
I've seen movies before, but and not only about like actually breaking in, but the physical activity is scary as hell. Like imagine you got me climbing a gate to like.
Yeah, what if you get stuck?
Scrape your leg on the way up.
Yeah, like if we got to run out of there,
Yeah.
and I got to hop a fence in a hurry.
I'm getting caught. I'm the last one.
We're talking about Pizza Boy Sal or now Sal?
No, we're talking about Pizza Boy Sal. Pizza Boy Sal used to look at a room, used to get up to go to the bathroom at a restaurant, and then come out of the bathroom and kind of have to stand there for a second and look at the chairs and the tables and everything,
And just think
and
about
plan
it.
a route that
like a
will
maze.
disturb, like, you know. If you see some big beluga sitting at table 14, you know he's not going nowhere. So you got to reroute, you know? Now I don't got to think about that. But when I was, when we were kids looking at haunted houses and having to climb fences and run out of places with no lights, forget it. You got to be, a big guy rolls an ankle.
Yeah.
That's a season-ending injury. You know?
That's MCL.
I ain't running out of nowhere.
I don't run for nobody.
My problem with those things is I feel like even if I go in there and nothing happens, if I go out, something's coming with me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
that too. That's
It's going to follow you home.
Like then I'm gonna be paranoid.
You were in my house. Now I'm in yours.
Yeah, I love how this is.
100%.
This podcast is not going at all how I thought.
No,
it would.
me neither.
But I
me
love
neither.
it. I love it.
Well, okay. So
You know what's tough? You know what's tough about this is usually when you're doing a podcast with people, you're asking questions about their life and career. But we're friends.
Yeah, we know you very
and you've
well.
been. This is your third time on the show, I think.
Yeah.
And when I saw you a month ago, or maybe it was a little longer, I said we got to do another one. We got to do another one. And when we finally locked in a date, so much has changed. I mean, first of all, Sal was, in my opinion, when we got Sal on our podcast, to me it was the biggest deal.
Celebrity status.
And it still is.
It still is.
Because you took
you
a
guys.
chance. You took a chance on us, and we didn't even have a studio yet. Nothing.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Of course,
Where
you
was
remember
it?
that.
It was across the street at the Society. In the
And then
gym.
we ate at Frost.
Yeah. We had a
Luca.
nice frost dinner ever.
It was great.
But that was
Manhattan special on the table.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sabino goes, "What do you like to drink?" I said, "Man, Manhattan. I'm gonna be in Brooklyn. Manhattan special is the best."
Yeah.
He had it there for me, ready, set to go. It wasn't like I didn't feel like I was taking a chance. I felt like here's these guys. Like I said to Rocco and Sabino before, the whole reason why, because people ask me like, what do you credit your continued success 8 years after being on a reality TV show? Like you went on and you won a career. How do you think that's even possible? And it's possible because of the Italian American community. Yeah. So here's these guys and Michela, and you guys have started something that's bringing the community together. that's connecting people with the community. To me, that's not taking a chance. To me,
That's what
like,
it's really all about too.
that's saying, hey, you know, we're all in this together. You know, we all gotta make it in this world. You know?
Like, you know, sometimes I feel there's a notion that we don't do that. And I take a step back and I'm like, but all these people that started podcasts now and they do like Italian American stuff, I like to see that because I know if there's more people doing it, it just means that we're doing the right thing. Like,
Yeah.
we literally go to conferences like talking about this, that we want like to keep the Italian American
Yeah,
culture
you're
alive.
reaching out to the next
Generation. Yeah. So to not
to
be
what-
happy to see people do it
Right.
is like so contradicting.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's 100% why I did that back in the day. And then the next time was because I needed record sales.
And now I feel it's
I don't even know if we helped that much, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, you come on, you did.
No, I think just the podcast, it forms relationships. That's the biggest thing.
that's
that
what it
I
really
learned.
is.
Besides
You know what I mean?
that-
Like,
Because
it
we did
also-
it so many years without making money, right? And then now we would still do it if we weren't making money, but at the end of the day, it is about what you do with your guest outside of the cameras.
Right.
I had kind of an embarrassing moment in Montreal. I met Matteo of the Bello Brothers, and I said, "Oh, I watch all your content." And then I go to look at their pages. I don't follow them. And I'm like, "How do I watch?" But I know who they are,
The algorithm.
and I know everything about them. But besides the algorithm, it's that you guys bring all these people to us, to the viewer,
yeah.
to us as the casual follower of GUI.
Because we repost a lot of their videos.
Yeah.
You repost. There's always something going on, and it brings people there. And then I just find myself scrolling through their page
Right.
and watching all their stuff.
Which is the whole point.
Well,
Which is the whole point.
A big difference from Sal now too is I seen you've been focusing more on the social media. You have a
100%.
podcast.
We were saying with Kuj before, when Meals by Kuj, when Danny was first coming up, I go to you. You were telling me how much he's making all this to go eat chicken cutlets. And I go to Sabino, I go, man, we're in the wrong business.
So true.
but then a light switch.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, you the reason why you make records is, not just for the investment, for the return on investment, record sales and streaming and everything, but a big part of it is relevance. So you're investing money into your relevance. The same thing goes with social media.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not as talented as you guys to be able to sit and edit and do all this.
But you're doing an amazing job, and Anthony Sherrata is doing a great job.
So
helping you
I
out.
hired Sherrata PR, and now it's become something that I do.
Now you could start charging to go eat chicken
How
cutlets.
you doing?
Things come full circle, you know?
Me, to get paid for a Tuesday at 11 a.m. to eat a sandwich. It might be better singing is still better. I still love music more, but I love food.
But not by much.
Food was my first love.
Yeah.
Food was my first
I
love.
think it's everybody's first love.
100%. I think the first time I tasted like a fried shrimp, for the second it went down my throat, I just sat there with my mouth open, waiting for the next, forkful. So food is my first love, and now to be able to and the crazy part is that people really didn't start wanting to see me eat until I lost all the weight, which is strange. Like as soon as I got skinny, people were like, I love watching this guy eat because how does he do it?
Yeah.
But food is something I love. It's something that's been a part of my life. It's something, I can't come here without something like this happening. Like I go downstairs every time I come up to GUI. I stop first at the deli, but it's to say hello to your family, to see your father, to see your sister, to see your cousin. I just saw cousin Rosaria and Michela and Antonio, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "How are you? How's your wife? How's everything?" The second question is, "What can I make you to eat?" Food is such a big part of our love language.
Food. Sometimes last time I was in a restaurant, right? I was thinking about it. Food is such like a celebratory thing too.
It is.
Like when
It
you
is.
go out to eat dinner, think about it. This place restaurants is like the oldest establishments in the world. Like you would go to places and they would prepare you food and you would pay for it. Like just the concept of, spending $200, $300 a person for a meal. It's like a celebratory thing, you know?
100%. You don't even
So-
think about it.
Exactly.
Here I am, thinking about like I'm gonna save myself, a couple grand on renovations because I'm gonna paint and spackle myself and make a mess, right? But I don't think twice about spending that a month at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Because it's food.
Like we could go to dinner right after this. You know what I mean?
100%.
And
100%.
wouldn't even budge.
You know, like,
No.
I just think about the restaurants, like when they buy these huge pieces and cut the steaks, and they're like, okay, this is $200, $200. Like the whole business aspect of it, like I just catch myself like thinking about it sometimes. Like,
You're always thinking about, man, I would really like to open a restaurant. And then you think about everything that's involved.
yeah, how much work it is.
You're like, wow,
no.
Sounds
I just
great,
want to go
so-
to a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're kind of lucky because we're to go only. But man, having someone sit down and,
It's a whole
they have
dance.
12 requests for you. Can I get some salt? Or boom. Can I get some more water? Can I get a piece of
Yeah.
lemon? Like,
But in the same way, it fascinates me.
Yeah.
And now, like, that's become a part of what I'm doing on a weekly basis. Yeah. And
So
it's
what are
something
you
I
doing?
enjoy.
Sal? What are you doing right now?
What am I doing
For
right
the,
now?
for the casual listener of GUI Pod.
Okay. So I go on tour on the weekends, and then during the week, Anthony will call me and say, hey, listen, the spot wants to do a video with you. And I get so excited because it's like, oh, now I can come up with like something creative. I can come up with a situation. I can come up with like we did a video for Salpino's, the now officially Pino's Market in Deer Park, Long Island. And I'm thinking the whole way there, I'm thinking like, well, what should I get? What should I get? Oh, I got to get this. And then we got to do this. We got to try this. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, this is what we do when we go to an Italian grocery store. We go in for two things and we leave with $1 million.
yeah.
And so I said, well, we'll make the video that.
Yeah.
And
Or you were like shopping around.
right.
Yeah,
And
I saw that video.
And it's a relatable concept or whatever. And obviously the response is what excites us. The whole reason why we're doing this in the first place, obviously community and everything, but to garner some sort of response, some sort of reaction. So when the reaction comes, it's like that's the reward. And in a similar way, it's like when you're doing a show and you killed that tune and the audience just goes nuts for it. And it's like it's like completes the circle. It's like the whole feeling is great. And in the meantime, when I'm on stage and I'm singing, I'm doing something that I'm really enjoying. Food is something that I really enjoy.
It's great to have both, right?
Right. And now it's great to have both.
Absolutely.
And now
So-
you have your set days to do one thing and set days to do another.
Yeah. And I, obviously podcasting is another great avenue, not just for that type of success, but for relevance, to talk and to get your
Your opinions out there too, I think.
right, because I'm not having people at my show to talk about, what I think about renovating my house or like buying a co-op or whatever
But
it
sometimes
is.
your jokes do have a little,
I do sprinkle a little. I do. You're right. It always does
Yeah.
come back to food. I shouldn't say that, but I always end up talking about John's Chicken College.
Yeah, always.
But it's good to have something different, Like people will comment on my videos. "Oh, when are we gonna hear you sing?" And I'll say the link is in the bio. Buy tickets to here or there. What I've noticed now, because I meet with my audiences after every show. I'll do a meet and greet. And, most of the times I'm paying attention to the audience. Not just because I want to kind of remember some familiar faces, because people really appreciate when they're loyal fans. And maybe you only go to their city once a year. And if you do over 100 dates a year, the likelihood of you remembering them is low. And they know that. But when you say, hey, welcome back, it's like such a big deal. So I really try to pay attention to the people who are at my shows. Recently,
Are you good at remembering names?
terrible.
Yeah, me too.
I'm getting worse.
Getting better.
I'm getting
You're
worse.
getting worse?
Yeah, it's
because
bad.
you're meeting more people.
Yeah, we're meeting
You're
a lot of
shaking
people.
more hands. That's what happens. Me,
What do you do in that situation when you've met them 3 times and hey, you?
can I say
you
like I used
avoid
to try,
that.
I used to try to like be fake about it and just like smile and do that.
Yeah.
Now, and I think, the fact that I've changed myself health wise has had a lot to do with this. You know, that I gave myself another chance at life.
Crispy, crunchy, savory, and sweet. Order what you want on Uber Eats.
Listen, guys, from now till the end of the year, December 31st, on the Uber Eats app, you go to Anthony and Son Panini shop, and you get a nice $25 off.
When you use the code Panini.
You gotta use the code Panini.
Terms apply. See app for details.
Man, I could really go for a drink or something.
Me too. What are you in the mood for?
I don't know, an espresso martini, something. What you got?
Say no more. Born in the north end of Boston, Brico Restaurant. It's a ready-made espresso martini. All you have to do is chill and serve.
Shake, serve, and drink that out of the comfort of your own home.
Salute.
Now, I'm very honest with people. And I'll say, I'm sorry. I don't remember meeting you. Where did we meet?
It's easier to say that when you're skinny. If you're a little chubby and you forget someone, you're like, of course.
Fuck this fat ass.
Look at this fucking chubby
Fat bastard doesn't fucking remember me. Hey, you remember to eat fucking lunch, you prick.
Exactly. It's easier to do that when you're nice and slim and
I guess you're a
you
little
have a
less
nice smile,
self-conscious.
you know? Yeah.
Knowing me, I'll do that. It's like, oh, I comped the $2,000 bill for you. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, oh, she ate at my restaurant, you and all your friends. Oh, right, you. Still don't remember your name, but I remember that meal.
Oh, but bro, you look great, bro.
Yeah.
We're so
No,
happy
thank you.
for you.
amazing.
But I in general in life, that's become a big thing for me is just be honest with people. You know, I feel like 9 times out of 10, of course you're going to get the guy, the old school, and it's always an old school Italian guy who's going to get insulted. You don't remember him from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like people will appreciate the honesty more. And there's a really, really good way to remember names. My father was a union rep. He had one of the biggest labor unions in the country that he ran. And he used to run for elections. So remembering names became very, very important. Remembering people and faces became very important. So there's a Dale Carnegie trick that my father taught himself, and he taught it to me. You repeat someone's name 3 times when you meet them. Like, what's your name? Sabino. Nice to meet you. Sabino, great to meet you. Where are you from, Sabino? And then you just, every time you ask a question to this person, you address them.
That's a good way to look at it. Like me, it'll be like this. Hey, what's up? What's your name?
Sal.
Oh, didn't remember.
How you
it.
doing? Nice
Boom.
to meet you.
Gone.
It's gone. It's
Right
already-
there, it's gone.
it's already
Well,
gone.
it depends the context, though. Like, if it's at a parking lot and you see somebody, like, yo,
And
what's
it's
up?
quick.
Yeah.
But even then, you know,
Yeah, you still will do that?
I will try to do that, especially now.
He's a professional.
Yeah, you're a pro. You're a pro.
Well, that's my father taught me. Like I said, my father's a union rep. So when you're a union rep, you
gotta remember names,
Well, you're
yeah.
looking out for the little guy, you know, and you're the union rep. You're the guy that they're looking to solve their problem. You know, in my situation, you're the guy they've come to see. You know, you're the guy who they've been watching with their family for the last few years. If you remember someone's name, like you don't even have to like, you know, shout them out on stage when you see them or whatever, or, you know, but if you remember someone's name after even a couple hours, even a few minutes, it goes such a long way
Yeah.
towards, you know, you talk about how podcasting and this whole thing has been great for you guys because you're establishing and maintaining relationships. Maintaining relationships with your fan base is just as important.
Yeah.
You know, so like I did an interview for this Quebec TV, and I met. You want to know something? I forgot the reporter's name.
Speaking of which,
you can't make that up.
so we're not all perfect.
Her last name was. I remember her last name was Pagano because I got cousins that are Paganos.
Okay, all right. That's
Pamela,
good
that's her name.
There you go.
And her mother was Rita. So she introduces me to her mother. Her mother really wanted to meet me, and I say, "Hi, Rita, nice to meet you." And then as we're doing the interview, I mention her mother, Rita, and she goes, "Oh, you remembered her name." Like that, just that alone, remembering someone's name. But I'm terrible at it. I'm with you, especially because like I'm a little doo-doo-doo, and you know, half the time I'm
I know
I'm
the
on
other reason why.
Medellin,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
The baban.
yeah, so it's like
It don't make you smarter.
no, it definitely doesn't make your memory
I'll
better.
tell you that much.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially after 4 or 5.
But it's so important. You know, things like that. We we as a people, Italians, especially Italian Americans, we're superstitious, but we're also everything's very personal. Like the whole reason why, like I'm keeping all the moldings that this guy made in my house is because I feel like it's personal. Not just because I don't want to get haunted.
That's a little percentage of it, though.
75%.
You're probably right. But because those things and those stories and those experiences are very important. To be able to walk someone into my house and say, I kept this here because this guy is here. It's the same thing as remembering someone's name. Yeah. You know, it makes it special. Mm-hmm. Doing special things is good, especially when you guys are at the level you're at now, where people are looking at you like people are putting you on such a pedestal. That you remain humble is so important. It's such a big step to that.
Always, but I think me and Sabino never think we're like that, you know? We're always very grounded.
And that's always going to be you guys. You guys are neighborhood guys. You know, you're looking at every day as a new opportunity to grow this thing you started. You're not thinking like, well, we're here now, and this is how we have to think, and this is how we have to act.
Also because we've been brand first for such a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we almost give our friends sometimes, or, you know, people we work with the platform, you know? It's not like we always give ourselves our own platform.
No.
Which is crazy which is really crazy.
We did a YouTube series together.
Yeah.
And the reason why I approached you to do it is not only because you're more rooted in the experience of social media and everything, but because it's like, hey, you know, I want to use your platform. This is where
we got to do that.
This is the future of Italian American entertainment. You know,
and those videos were amazing.
Yeah, they
like,
were.
People still like,
especially the North End one. It still goes crazy.
That was crazy.
Which is funny. It's a full circle moment. But this first episode is sponsored by Drink That Espresso Martini.
A Paisan.
I met them through you. Full circle moment. And then the last time we were in Boston, we had them on the show.
Frank Pasquale and Nick Verano.
Yeah.
They own a lot of the businesses in the North End of Boston. North End of Boston is, of course, the Italian American neighborhood. Mm-hmm. These guys are all about this neighborhood. Matter of fact, this September, I'm doing they have a San Gennaro festival.
That they flew to. If you watch the episode, they flew it from Naples.
Yeah, they flew the Saint in from Naples on their plane.
Crazy.
They like overweighted their private plane to get this statue back, and they said we're going to bring it back ourselves because we're the only people we trust to get it.
And they're keeping that neighborhood Italian, man.
They're keeping it Italian, but even more than that, you see them always combining forces. They're constantly, and you think like, wow, they got restaurants right across the street from each other. You know, technically they're competition. But they're always combining forces to build, and to keep the legend of the North End alive, and to keep the neighborhood for their posterity, for the future. You know, Nick has Marina and Nico, his kids. He has them in the industry now, and they're on the North End now. And
I met Frank's son Joe. Yeah, same thing.
Joe, it's the
Hustler.
same thing, right?
All great people too.
Yeah, all great people, all great guys. And I think that's a big part of it.
I do admire what they're doing in the North End, though. They literally won't let anybody in unless you're Italian. Like the big corporations,
they got it on lock.
I think they just have a Starbucks there. That's it. Like,
but how else?
I think they fought. I swear to God, I think Nick Verano collects an envelope from that Starbucks.
Allegedly.
But there's a reason it's called Little Italy. You know what I mean? Like if it's gonna be Little Italy, it's got to stay Little Italy, and that's a big thing that we're trying to do in Mulberry Street right now.
You guys are from a small town in Italy. Well, your parents are from a small town in Italy.
Yeah.
And the town doesn't change much.
Not at all.
It stays relatively generational. And a Little Italy should be a version of that. That's what you guys are doing. You just mentioned it in Little Italy on Mulberry Street now with Red Sauce Studios. Mm-hmm. You know, and a kind of a central place for the community to come together.
Yep.
And a place where people who are visiting from other places can really can share in our experience as Italian American New Yorkers.
And what's still relevant in Italy.
Yes.
If you're a tourist from Italy visiting, I want you to see stuff from Italy.
Yeah.
Because there's a big notion where you know, the singers are Andrea Bocelli, and they are, but what about the next guys? You know, like we're just clueless about what's happening in Italy right now. We just go to Positano and take some pictures. Like, we don't know what's actually going on in Italy.
It's so true, though. A lot of Italians, native Italians, think that Italian Americans are so detached from what's happening in Italy today. And in a way, it's true. But at the same time,
we have our own lives and our own culture. It's a subculture.
It's subculture.
Yeah, but we also want to educate Italian Americans on what actually is going on. So,
Because
like
this
Sabino
is just
said,
as important.
Yeah. Like Sabino said, you could preach.
That's how we stay connected
Yeah,
by
for
knowing
sure.
what we both like. You know, knowing what the Italian Americans like and the Italians knowing what we like.
Yeah, you could preach Andrea Bocelli, Nino D'Angelo, Toto Cutugno, but you also got to preach the new generation Italians that are doing their own thing over there. Like
And then the new soccer players.
It can't
you
be
know?
all broken up when an Italian American singer mispronounces an Italian word. Because we don't bust your balls when you come here on vacation and you barely speak a word of English. Come on, we made this all nice for you. We kept some.
Are you
some,
speaking from experience?
it's very passionate.
I might be. You know, we've kept traditions alive, and yeah, maybe they're a little different, but if you think about it, what other countries other than Australia, other than Canada, what other countries are Italians going to go to where they can sit and eat something that comes from where they come from, where they can go and experience something like they're going to experience at your corner on Mulberry Street,
Very true.
where their culture is existing in another country, where it's so strong and it's so powerful that it's existing outside of Italy.
But you know what's so crazy is that
You got to appreciate that, all right? None of this bullshit.
They critique it a lot too, though. That's the problem.
what's crazy to me is when like you get a super native Italian and they go to an Italian restaurant, they're like, "Ma che sta roba?"
Yeah.
Like when they eat, like we change a lot of dishes. So let's say they see chicken parm or, you know, the pasta with all this garlic and this pasta, all these dishes with all this
Fettuccine
butter.
Alfredo.
Yeah.
Chicken parm is not Italian, but it doesn't make it not delicious.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I say that all the time.
It's good. We went to Italy, my wife and I, last year, and there's a chain of Napoletan pizzerias called Gino Sorbillo, right?
Amazing, by the way.
It's amazing, but it's not the pizza we're used to.
Yeah.
And to be honest,
Those are the big pizzas that are cut, right?
no, Gino Sorbillo is the it's like
Napolitan style?
Yeah, Napoletan style. So it's like a 10-inch.
Isn't that the sponsor we had for that? I'm thinking
Yeah,
something else. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to talk about them. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We know bread is buttered. It's a 10-inch, Napoletan pie.
Yeah.
Right? You can ask for it well done as many times as you want. They're going to cook it exactly the way they're going to cook it. Right? So I'm like, all right. It's all right. It's good. It tastes better because the ingredients are fresher. The fior di latte cheese is really amazing. And the way they do it, the tomatoes are fresh, especially in Italy, just the quality of the food is better. But my wife is watching all these people eating it with a fork and knife. And she goes, how should we be eating this? And I look at her and I look at all of them. And I said, G, let's eat this pizza like we come from the best place in the world to get pizza. How you like that?
Let me ask you, do you think...
How you like my Italian now?
How'd you eat it, though? Before Sabino goes on to the next topic.
Cut it into slices, folded them up, and ate it like that.
Major
and
flop.
You want to know these zips are looking me up and down? Like, who the fuck does this...
And you were like this?
with my yellow gold. Come on.
There you go. What were you going to say?
And then what do? They drag us for cutting it into slices and folding us. And now they make it like it's their idea, Naples Pizza Portfolio. Fangul. How's my Italian now?
Do you think New York pizza is better than Napolitan style? Which one do you prefer?
I prefer New York pizza. And I got to tell
Some
you.
people say that.
And I got to tell you. Obviously, look at Lucali. Look what he's
I
doing.
never ate there.
But look what he's doing. He combined them. He said...
Some places do that. You're right.
He said, listen, this is a really... Obviously, Napoletan pizza is how it's supposed to be done. Right? We invented it. But New York pizza is kind of like an improvement on the whole concept.
New Park is kind of
New Park is kind of a hybrid.
no toppings. Just a regular.
Yeah, just a regular slice. They don't serve it by the slice over there. It's you get a pizza. That's it.
Yeah.
We kind of nailed it. Like a place like Luigi's on Fifth Avenue in Park Slope.
I've been dying to go there.
I've yet to have that too.
Yeah.
Everybody says
What's
it's the best
today?
pizza.
Today's Tuesday. They're open. We should go after.
We're very excited to announce a long-term partnership with the Soto Gastronomia out from Australia. These guys got a really, really interesting restaurant concept where all their profits go to all these Italian charities.
DeSoto has a very interesting story. So they're first generation Italian Australians.
They're basically us in Australia.
DeSoto was created in their parents' and grandparents' honor so that they can pay their legacy forward. 100% of their proceeds goes to people in need, charities, and the arts.
DeSoto will be supporting us this year, so the content's going to be even better.
Bro, and who knows? Maybe at some point we're going to have to take a trip down under, huh?
I was always curious how the Italian Australians made food.
It's time we find out.
Unbelievable. Thin, crispy, right? Not too much cheese. It's not pouring grease into your hand. Like that's pizza. That's like the perfect pizza to me. I'm sorry. Italians, whatever.
But the reason why I think the pizza even tastes better is because you see a guy like Gio in there every time you go.
That's another thing.
And you relate, like the real pizza places, you could almost say like you're gonna expect to see this person there. You know,
the guy.
Yeah.
He's been doing it forever. Another
has rules.
Has a way that he does it. Has his rules.
Like you can't ask for this, you can't ask for that. No. That makes it better automatically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a guy who will throw you out if you ask for something.
Yeah.
If you're like, well, I want it.
That's the way my dad used to be with like Italian meats and asking for mustard on The Godfather, like asking for mustard with prosciutto.
And I think about that every time you post the orders from Panini Shop. I think, man, what is Antonio thinking? It's like
it's insane.
The way these people ask like for the craziest shit on their sandwiches. Like, what is Antonio thinking about this?
We have crazy sandwiches though, so it comes with the territory.
Yeah,
a place like that stays true to no ranch with the pizza, no pineapple, no buffalo chicken, no this. But we already do crazy things, so.
Yeah,
that's why it comes with the territory.
But besides that, it's like the customer's always right.
Yeah,
listen.
As long as they have money,
This might be strange to me putting mayonnaise on a chicken parm hero, but this weirdo
I would try
likes
it. I would try it.
People do it.
It does sound good. Not gonna lie. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Chicken parm mayo?
Bro, chicken parm, you said?
I thought it was crazy that I said New York pizza's better than Italian pizza. I thought I was taking a risk and a chance. I'm really glad you said that.
I misunderstood.
Make sure that stays in the end.
Chicken parm mayo is disgusting.
I didn't hear chicken parm. I thought like a nice crispy chicken cutlet with mayo. I would do that.
Oh,
chicken cutlets with mayo are nice.
Yeah, I thought
even like a chicken cutlet with American cheese is nice sometimes.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah,
come on.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't hear you say chicken parm.
I used to do that, by the way. I used to do that with my mother's leftover chicken cutlets when I get home from school. Put a couple slices of American cheese on top.
In the microwave.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, my mouth is watering.
No,
right
but
now.
cutlets in the microwave suck. It's like so
yeah,
soft.
but still though, like their leftovers nice.
Yeah.
But cold chicken cutlets too.
Right out the fridge. I'd say that. So Sabino was talking about how at my shows I throw a little food humor and everything in it, and I say my wife won my heart with chicken cutlets, and I say ladies out there, if you're trying to find yourself a nice Italian American man, like myself, you got to make a good chicken cutlet. If you could make a couple pounds of chicken cutlets on a Sunday, you could leave your husband home alone for 2 weeks.
Bro, it's so underrated that
you don't even need
it's not taken
dishes.
more seriously.
It's the basic. You don't even need clean dishes. Seriously, you put them in a Ziploc bag, right? Put a little container with half a lemon next to it. He'll pull them out the fridge, squeeze a lemon on top, and eat it. Just
That's
like
it.
that.
Yeah,
that's
like
handheld.
That's the best.
That's the best.
We don't ask for much.
I used to see my father in his underwear at 2:00 in the morning in the fridge, like a raccoon in a garbage can, right? In the fridge with the chicken cutlet and like the ketchup or the honey mustard, just and right there like that.
Yeah, that's how I get down. Like I'll just stand in the fridge, literally do like put an M on it, you know, or like an S, like do a little design on the chicken cutlet.
That's for Sabino. Yeah.
That's
this
life.
One's mine.
My favorite was
that's literally life right there.
My favorite was at night, 2 a.m. If we're doing 2 a.m. vibes in an Italian household, loaf of bread, cut like in a little piece, get a chunk of the Parmigiano Reggiano, you know what I'm talking about? A nice chunk of that. And then I would have the cut salami or sopressata. That's a nice little 3 a.m. snack.
See, and the Italians say that we're losing it over here. Like,
No, we're clearly gaining it.
I should know better, but I'm going to go in the fridge. Parmigiano Reggiano, nothing like it.
nothing like it, man. Just a simple pleasure.
But Sal, I got to
Simple little
say,
things.
you know, being in the internet world for a while now, a lot of times we make like the wrong people famous. And you going on, you know, the show at the time 8 years ago, was it 8 years ago?
8 years ago now. Wow.
I feel
5
like
years ago.
we finally did something right in this world, and the people and the media finally made the right person famous. So I just want to say,
nice.
Look
to,
at me.
to somebody like you, bro, like you believing in us, 4 years ago it was?
Maybe 5.
5 years ago, going to the society, you know, that was a huge, like, oh my God, like we're doing something moment.
Yeah.
Could
You
cry.
know, like somebody like you on our show at that time was a big deal. Somebody like you representing the Italian American community, grounded, super humble, one of us. Like, I'm so glad we finally picked the right person to represent us. So thank you so much for all you do. For
I
real.
really do love you guys. Since
Love
then,
too, yeah.
since then we've become friends, you know, and I'm so proud that this is where our people are going. That this is the way it is. I mean, I'm literally moved to tears right now.
What's crazy about
deserve
you know, the Italian American community, especially like when your situation, when you had that success and that run on national television, every Italian American knew who you were and got behind you. One, because you're talented, but also because you're Italian American and you show that. And you know, we've had these runs where, like, you know, you like DiVincenzo, Tommy DeVito, when someone's doing something amazing, but plus they're Italian, it just makes it that much easier to support them.
Absolutely.
Was this your plan to get me all like?
No, it's just something that I just
Warm it up?
I just appreciate the friendship we have. You know what I mean?
Me
Like,
too.
you're very well spoken. You're an old soul. People learn so much from hearing you. You have your own show. You do a great job breaking bread. Like, people need to hear your voice, not only in the singing aspect,
Yeah,
but
you need that platform.
just in this setting. Like, you're just such a well spoken, humble person.
Guys got class.
He's got class.
He's full of class.
I thought Kuj left.
I see that in you guys. I see that in Anthony's and Old Soul too.
Yep.
You know, and that's
Definitely.
that's what I cling to. You know, and you are as good as the company you keep, and that's been so true over these last several years with you guys, and also all the people that you've brought into my life. You know, and all the learning that I do. Like I tell Sabino, and this is no offense to the Scarlata brothers. It's no offense to Big Joe Gambino. It's no offense to Kuj. It's no offense to Bilena. It's no offense to...
There's a million you could name.
It's no
right?
offense to Leah. It's
Who
no
you all
offense
know
to-
and love, by the way.
Who I all know and love. But I was introduced to all these people through growing up Italian. You know, to
I mean, you know, I think sometimes, like,
all the great stuff that all the value you've added to my life.
you probably
know.
would have met all these people anyway, though.
Yeah,
But maybe a little later, or
But-
it would have been as, like, you know,
But this platform and this apartment existing, this room, you know, obviously some things have changed around here, but this room existing has expedited that, and we're all better for it. You know,
really nice.
you see in I mentioned the Scarlata brothers. You see in twins from Staten Island who are now on red carpets and
Yeah.
you know
Crushing.
they're on the news
Crushing
every
it.
week.
on the news every week.
They're you know, the go-to guys about inflation. It's amazing.
And you mentioned that pride. You mentioned that sense of pride and that sense of happiness for seeing someone make it. And that exists because I was brought to them through here.
It means a lot, and we always love, like, not taking credit for that, but like just being that tree that everybody, there's like branches to this tree, you know what I mean? And we just want everybody to be together and form a beautiful community.
And look
that's
at what
the goal,
it is.
you
Look
know?
at what it is now.
Like we did skits 3 years ago with the Scarlata brothers, just messing around, just so we can get together, hang out, form a relationship, you know? And now like everybody's going in their own little path, but at the end of the day,
everybody's making a living off it too, which is incredible. And I'm happy with my friends.
and there's nothing that makes us more happy than seeing people successful.
Whenever a big comedian is talked about, or there's a retrospective on their career, the first clips they play is them on the late night shows. You know, is them on Letterman, is them on you know, or you go even older. What was the Ed Sullivan, you know, and you guys are like that for our community, you know, is that, yes, people, like the Scarlata brothers had something going on. That's why you wanted to do something with them.
Mm-hmm.
But you then introduce them to more people and more people. You know, as mentioned social media before, and we were talking about how, you know, it's something I'm doing now, and podcasting, it's all part of my routine now, part of my week. And I was mentioning how I really pay attention to the people at my shows. And one thing I've noticed recently is that younger and younger people, the next generation, are coming to my shows.
Amazing.
And I'm
That's
really
good.
enjoying it. And I think I'm being connected to them through social media, through things like the GUI podcast,
TikTok,
through
also
TikTok, through all that.
A lot of your stuff on TikTok hits.
Yeah.
You get good numbers on it.
Hey,
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Ubishidil.
Knock on
I
wood.
don't think that's wood. There you go.
There you go.
That's always the
No, but
reliable.
that's great because, you know, we've spoken at years ago that's what, you know, you would do stuff with us because, you know, like, and you're smart because there's entertainers, singers out there. I sound like Mario Bosco. Entertainers. But there's people out there that think just because they perform that they don't need to do that.
oh no.
And it's quite the opposite.
You and I reached out to a big name actor to work. To do
This is a
something
funny
with us.
story, yeah.
And at the time, this actor, you know, didn't want to do it. I don't know, and you know, was very honest about it and saying, you know, I don't do things that don't have a history.
They want to see examples of the shows and stuff.
Right. You know, which at the time like made sense to us, but now we see this actor going on podcasts and doing this and that. And I think this actor learned that, you know, this is something that you have to do if you're going to stay relevant. You know, but also just to support the people around you.
Yeah.
Like this is the community that's been behind you. That's been, you know, I'd say it straight up. My success, I mean, obviously it has something to do with my talent, it has something to do with my, you know, the couple hundred musicians nationwide that I hire on a annual basis to perform at the shows, has to do with my fans of every background and every nationality. But I credit the bulk of my success to the Italian American community, to the Italian Canadian community, to the Italian Australian community, to the Italians who support me.
The English-speaking Italians,
Right.
out there, that are basically our fan base.
Yeah, you know, so you have to lean into that. You know, I think you're right. A lot of people are like, maybe it's beneath me, or however they feel. You can't be that way. If you want to move forward, if you want to keep yourself going, you can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like people that step away, they don't need it anymore. You know, like they kind of got past. Like, okay, I got too big for the Italians. You know.
Yeah, but are you ever? Are you ever?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I wouldn't be doing this.
I don't know, but we
You know,
never we're not in their shoes though. You know what I mean?
You know, this might sound arrogant, but I think it's true that there's only two types of people in this world.
Oh God.
Italians and people who wish they're Italians.
Yeah.
How could I
Because
guess
how
you were
did
gonna say that?
Because if the world wasn't obsessed with you know, gangster culture, then they're obsessed with
Food culture.
the food culture, or they're obsessed with the Japanese interpretation of what an Italian is with the Super Mario, or they're obsessed with Italian teenagers who are getting drunk and fighting with people on the weekends with the Jersey Shore.
But why are people so drawn to like what we've do or what we've done? And
Well, we're a passionate people.
Yeah.
And we're also, no matter what we're doing, whether it's actually, something, something of Italian American, I don't know, substance or not, we as a people are so unique, and our subculture is so strong that people are drawn to it. So if that and to your point of that's why it never goes away. That's why you're never bigger than the thing, because this is going to be the thing forever. I think that people will be obsessed with Italian American culture on every level for a long, long time.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Now that you have a podcast, you're a podcast host.
Breaking Bread with Anthony Girardi.
Absolutely. Now,
Yes.
you were just explaining about how everybody's perception of an Italian American is. Who are some, name 3 guests that you think would be great to interview that represent Italian Americans? Like your dream 3 guests or people you've done an interview with. Who are people similar to you that are very passionate about being Italian American that you want to give credit to, give their flowers?
That we've had.
Or dream guest or who we've had.
Guests
that you haven't had.
that I haven't had. Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
He is Italian, right?
Yeah, a little Italian.
You know what's so
He's
funny?
Italian.
Yeah.
Low Pig before goes, Obi Toppin's Italian? If we know
Steven Tyler is Italian?
yeah, Aerosmith. That's a good answer though, Nicholas. I like that. But does he rep being Italian?
I don't know if it's such a part of his identity, like it is mine, like it is ours.
Yeah.
But, he points to, his mother had some health issues growing up. So he was raised by his grandparents. And that I think is something that's unique to immigrant culture. His uncle is Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh.
So his family was always tight and together and helping each other up. Yeah. And that's something that we mentioned before is very uniquely Italian American.
So Steven Tyler, Nicolas Cage.
Well, I don't know. I was just bringing up Steven Tyler as an example. I don't know how. I don't know. I think he's so separated from it now. He might even say, I'm Italian.
We lost him.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage, Lady Gaga, you said, and
Lady
He said
Gaga.
Lady
I didn't
Gaga?
say Lady Gaga.
No, but I knew you were gonna.
But I was going to say Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Ariana Grande. Lady Gaga reps it.
Lady Gaga reps.
I also feel like Madonna would be a great guest for you to have.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why?
Because she's another one who was at least very proud to be Italian.
She was.
Yeah.
You know what it was? When the Italians.
When she started talking about giving bucchini on songs.
Besides that, the Italians are very religious.
Yeah.
And she calls herself Madonna and wears
Madonna.
a big cross kind of as a joke. She does it in jest. And I think that
It
a lot
is
of people have a
crazy though
problem
that
with
she did that. I was thinking about that last time. But she doesn't say it like that.
She's
At least
a
she doesn't
rock
say it
star.
like that.
Think about how rebellious rock stars are. How kind of anti-establishment rock stars are, right? So she grew up in an Italian household, and all these things that were very important and were held sacred. She was kind of wanted to be the antithesis of it. So I get that, but I don't think Madonna would be it. I think, man, I'd love to have Joe Pesci, and I'll tell you why.
Is that the top actor for
That's
you?
goals for sure.
That's the top actor, and I'll tell you why. Joe Pesci was a knock-around neighborhood guy. Joe Pesci is depicted in Jersey Boys because Frankie Valli knew him as a neighborhood guy, knock-around guy growing up. And he's created so much success for himself. And granted, say what you want about gangster movies and about, Italian-American aspersions or whatever, but, he brought a lot of different Italian-American culture to film. So did, of course, De Niro and Chaz Palminteri. But
Frankie Valli should be on that list too.
and I think Frankie
We
Valli.
shouted him out, but we didn't specifically say
Yeah,
him.
I think Frankie Valli too. I mean, there's people who are dead that I would, shoot someone to talk to, like Louis Prima. We talked to Lena Prima. We filmed an episode. It never came to fruition because certain things got
certain cards
lost.
got lost.
Yeah, I'll say it straight up that someone lost memory cards of like a whole day.
That was a kick in the ball, and
It was a
that
kick in the
hurt
nuts.
the whole roll of the show. But we'll talk about it after. But I would love to start that again.
Sitting with Lena Prima and talking to her about her father.
Yeah,
about
that's
about
legendary,
Louis Prima.
man.
You got to understand, like John Viola, who I love, him and I had such a great conversation at your 2 billion subscriber celebration about how Louis Prima, you talk about, anti-establishment. Louis Prima was told, like most Italians during World War II, to stop speaking Italian because we're at war with Italy. Italy had a fascist leader who dragged them into the Second World War. And Louis Prima said, fuck you. Like, I'm so proud to be Italian. My father came here from Sicily on a fucking orange boat to make a better life for me. I'm so proud of my culture that I'm going to go record an entire album of Italian American songs. That's a guy I want to talk to.
I love that.
That's a guy I want to talk to. Because even when people are dragging you for being Italian American or whatever it is, that's the guy who had the balls to stand up and say, no. This is such a part of who I am and who I'm proud to be that I'm going to do it anyway. That's a guy I want to talk. And unfortunately, he's not with us anymore.
But his daughter is really like carrying on that name in New Orleans, and
because she's proud of
she's making him proud for sure.
Man, Louis Prima, and you talk about how Italians love to work, right? Louis Prima died of a stroke, of complications from a stroke. He had an ischemic stroke. He had basically an aneurysm, and he was playing in Vegas, and he had a show. And Louis Prima was not just a singer. If you're ever listening to Louis Prima, any Louis Prima tune, and you hear a trumpet solo, 9 times out of 10, that's Louis Prima blowing on the trumpet in his own song, because he was a consummate musician, right? And a musician's musician too. Everyone I hear who ever played with Louis Prima said he was like one of the best guys to play with because he was a great band leader and this and that. He was doing a show in Vegas, a run in Vegas, and for the last few months he was having these terrible headaches. So he stopped blowing on certain tunes. He stopped playing solos, blowing on certain tunes. And then his last night, he blew for hours. He killed it, and he had a stroke and died that night. This headaches that he was having was a blood clot on his brain. That the guy gave everything of himself till the last day he died. That's such a good example for us. Yeah. That's the cornerstone.
We don't even come close when you put it like that.
Well, you talk about how Italian American is a subculture. That we came from people who risked it all so that their posterity could have a better life. Your father is a really hardworking guy. Yeah. Started with a fruit stand and now has arguably the most successful deli in New York City. Most famous.
Katz is pretty good too.
Are they really a deli? They serve 3 things. Come on.
Nah, but
you can't order, if I can't order the FDNY, it's not a deli.
Not only my dad. There's
your whole family.
There's thousands. Our whole family, yeah, but there's thousands of Italian Americans that did it. Whether they opened, whether they're a union worker and save enough money to buy a house and send their kids to college. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
My parents were union workers.
We all have a great Italian American story, because we know what it's like to struggle and make sacrifices.
I guess the answer to your question is not so simple. Because sure, it'd be great to have Frankie Valli on, or Chaz Palminteri, or Joe Pesci, or Lady Gaga, but wouldn't it be great to sit with a guy who's been busting his ass for his entire life and went from living in a railroad apartment to setting his kids up and his kids' kids and everything like that.
Exactly.
Isn't that the story
That's
that I
the
think
best
people
answer
wanna
you could
hear?
give right there.
Yeah.
The amount of stories that you could have with that one person.
That's why I love to meet people.
Life-changing.
That's why I love that the series we did.
Yeah.
Because we were talking with people who that's what their life was. I had a producer, this guy Scott Coffer. He's produced many television shows. Reach out to my manager to get to me just to tell me like, wow, you seem so interested in otherwise very normal people. And I had to explain to him like because it is interesting, because it is. I'm so proud to be a part of the community with these people are making a name for us. Like a Nick Verano has restaurants and has had success with that, based on his parents working in the restaurant business and that. Or sitting here and talking with you guys, your parents, your family's in the deli business. And now like you've elevated that. Like we're still here sitting above this deli. And I know it's great, the Red Sauce Studio and everything, but I hope 20 years from now we can still come up here and sit above this deli.
Yeah.
Just so
this isn't gonna change.
This is our home base.
We put stickers on doors and shit, so we gotta come back. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap? Because we got to talk about some things off camera too.
Oh man, I'm on Spotify and Apple Music.
Yes.
SalTheVoiceNY.com.
He is a singer, people. He is a singer.
Yeah, I am a singer. I do shows everywhere. I'll be plenty of places coming up. I got my Christmas tour at the end of the year, so if I'm not in your city now, I probably will be then. The Breaking Bread podcast can be found. I mean, there's so many Breaking Bread podcasts, but the one to watch is with Sal Valentinetti and Anthony Sciarrata.
Let's go.
Look in the link in his bio.
How you doing? Follow me on TikTok. Because that's going pretty good. Maybe I'll make a few fuzzles eating a sandwich.
I love it.
And please continue to support Italian Americans and
love
everything
that.
they do.
I love that. Thank you for your time,
Help
Sal.
me and my friends take over the world.
Pinky in the brain vibes right there.
Oh, and my wife will kill me. Alexandra Accardo Studio.